Hello, everyone. Okay, so we're going to be talking about mouse look behavior for Unity. So, mouse look behavior is just a fancy way of saying we want to map out, you know, movement or a type of, you know, POV for our camera to actually move left or right or up or down. So, to actually map that out, we do need a script. So, this is often called the mouse look script. So to give a rundown, because it might feel unintuitive, like, the concepts of rotation and like actually looking at an angle, we can kind of use this right here. So a Y rotation is using a type of directional rotation along a vertical rod. Now, that doesn't really, you know, mean anything if you can't really understand what that means. So when I mean like a vertical rod, like imagine, you have a pencil in between your hands and you kind of, rub your hands together to actually move that pencil. So when you do, move that pencil, you can see your hands moving left or right, or there's a horizontal tilting happening. And when you place the pencil, horizontally, and if you rub your hands together, horizontally, what you get is a vertical tilting. And some terms, to define some terms here, when I say look, I just mean, tilting. We're tilting, if we're looking up, we're tilting up. If we're looking down, we're tilting down. And up and down is associated with vertical tilting. And when I say, rotation, I just mean uh, initiating a type of tilting. So initiating a type of tilting. So if I say a Y rotation, I just mean a horizontal tilting. And if I say an X rotation, I just mean a vertical tilting. Now, a good way, with the pencil analogy, it's fine, right? But, if you want something more concrete here, we have this. So an X rotation is a horizontal axis of rotation. So what that just means is, when you do rub your hands together with the horizontally placed pencil, we're kind of going in this direction. We're going up, then we're going down, then we're going back up. And when we're doing, a Y rotation, we're going this way. So we're first going to the right, then we're going to the left, then back to the right. So this is a vertical rod, and this is just a horizontal rod. You could just think of these as, the pencils and the way they're placed. So now that we kind of have like an idea here, maybe it doesn't really make sense. So we can actually apply this now to the control statements. But just think of a Y rotation as a vertical rod and us, making that vertical rod move. It's going to tilt horizontally. It's going to look left or right as you rub your hands together, and the pencil in between is going to move left or right as you rub your hands. And, if you rub your hands together horizontally with the pencil, your hands are going to go up or down. So, I mean, hopefully that helps. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. All right. So we're going to go with the control statements here within the update method of mouse look. So these enums here is just a way to represent, uh, the input that you place for your mouse. Mouse X and Y means that you're looking, up, down, whatever direction, right? Mouse X means you're looking horizontally. Mouse Y just means that we're looking up and down. So these enums here are just to represent, uh, those specific inputs. And I'll get to these, whatever this stuff means. Just think of this right now as the sensitivity. So kind of, if you're familiar with sensitivity in games, it's just like how fast you look to the right or left or up and down and such. So we're going to get to, so this is an instance of uh, just rotation axis right now. So let's go to the first control statement here. So mouse X, right? So let's say the user wants to look left and right. So we're going to use the transform class and we're going to use the rotate method. Wait, this is recording, right? Okay, yeah, okay. And, you might be asking, if we're going to use mouse X, right? Then why is, X not here and why is it here? So these are rotational positions. This is a rotational X, this is a rotational Y. I guess a better way to explain it is probably to do this, right? So this is where rotation X is. So we know rotation X means vertical tilting, and we know rotation Y means horizontal tilting. Okay, so that's why, we have mouse X here, because we want horizontal tilting to happen. So input get axis, what does that mean? So input get axis is a way to, it returns a floating point value between ranges -1 and 1. And what the heck does that mean? So we can kind of consult, the trigonometry circle here. So this is why we have the floating point values of that range. If we're looking to the right, then that means, we're going to 1, 0. If we're looking fully to the left, then we're going -1, 0. So that's just what it means. And of course, the same applies if we're looking vertically. So to go back here, it's just going to return the angle at which you're looking at, fully to the right or fully to the left. And for sensitivity, we know that's just the speed at which we kind of go to the right or to the left in terms of looking. And we're just going to apply this to the camera. The camera is just going to be looking. It's not going to be moving in space. It's just a matter of actually looking at a specific angle, which brings us to this second control statement, which is actually looking vertically or tilting vertically. So to initiate a type of vertical tilting, we need to have rotation X. Or do we need rotation X? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not. Yeah, okay. So rotation X leads to a vertical tilting. So when, we have our hands and we're rubbing pencil horizontally, our hands are going up and down. It's not the best analogy, but it's one that helped me a lot. Okay. So what is rotation math F clamp here? So when we are looking vertically, up and down, what that means is, we have to look at a specific angle. There has to be a limit in which we can look up or down. So in Unity, how that looks like is, let's say I have mouse Y, right? And let's just not focus too much on what's happening in the background and just see, the rotational values of mouse Y. So we see that there's a limit at 45 for X, and there's a limit right here, -45, because we don't want to, snap our spine or anything and kind of just, go full circle and look, so high up, or we're practically just gonna, see our head, then see our back, then it's just gonna go full circle. And we don't want that specifically. We just want to look up, but at a specific limit, right? So that's the whole intention here, is to make sure that rotation X, when it is initiating a vertical tilting, isn't going to such a degree. It's only going to these values here, to either 45 or negative 45. Also, I'm not too sure if I explain this line here. So the reason why this is negative, this result here, is because Unity has inverted controls. So we're just inverting the inverting controls, which is just to keep it normal, right? So we can actually look up, and we actually look up and not look down or anything like that. Okay, so for this line here, this is rotation Y. So you might be asking, what the heck is local Euler angles Y? So what that means is, it's actually keeping track of the horizontal tilt direction. So we know that rotation Y initiates a type of horizontal tilt. So when we do run this, we want to ensure that, our Y doesn't change. It remains at 0 because we know, what if we make our mouse go left or right? The Y remains to be the same. So local Euler angles is just a fancy way of saying that let me extract the Y value at the current state of the runtime of the game, which it's just going to be at 0. Whoops, I forgot to. So we just ensure that rotation Y is there. Okay, so for the last line here, transform local Euler angles. This is actually where we update our movement for looking up and down. So rotation X, we know that just means we're initiating a type of vertical tilting. And rotation Y, we know that it's initiating a horizontal tilting, but we know that right now we don't want to change, any horizontal tilt. We just want to change us looking up and down, but at a specific degree, which is 45-degree range. So now for the last, this is actually applying both X and Y. So, everything, it's kind of a combination of the last two control statements, except now we have this here. So float delta here is just us updating, actually the horizontal tilt direction, because now we're actually taking in the input of the horizontal tilt, or the Y rotation in which we are initiating. So it just puts it into rotation Y, and then we can actually look left and right. So let's actually, apply that, right? Let's say, within the inspector of mouse look, we now change the axes to X and Y. So when we do that, just look at, this section here, and we can see now that, we look, oh no, oh no, oh no. Wait, did I have X and Y here? Oh, yes, I did. Okay. Okay, it should work. I just think I had to save it. Oh, here we go. Okay, see? So for the rotational values, we can see that Y is changing. Whatever, direction we're going. It's either, 180. I think that's the maximum. It's of a 180-degree range. So let's just stop that. And this is just a video. It's kind of an amateurish explanation of mouse look. And, to kind of just hone things down, this is the intuition, right? We just know that a Y rotation is a horizontal tilting, looking left or right. And an X rotation is a vertical tilting, which is just looking up and down. And we just map those concepts onto this script here. So I'll just, scroll down through the script here so you can kind of get a visualization of what's happening, to maybe, think it over to see, kind of what's going on. So we just attach this script to the camera, and we should be able to initiate that type of tilting for the camera. Okay, goodbye.